Hi, Jacob. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
I would like to ask your opinion on how do you see the role of carbon capture and storage in reducing maritime emissions?
Sure. It's a great question, and let me quickly step back and just frame that it's really important that as a global society, we should be investing smart dollars in decarbonization and in emissions abatement. And that means spending the dollar which has the most emissions abatement on a per unit basis. So in many cases, that may be not in the shipping sector. And I say that not to defend the shipping sector and say, well, we're so efficient and we're hard to abate, so much as to say we literally should be spent. I mean, we'll get a better effect sooner for society if we are a little bit smarter in how we spend our money. And this is a message, obviously, for regulators and for financiers more so than anyone within the sector. Within the sector, we're all doing as much as we can to find smart investments and smart technology implementations to continue with business, but doing it in a more efficient way. And that brings us to shipboard carbon capture. And I think it absolutely has a role to play. There are so many ship types, trade types, and various technical and economic implications and sort of constraints associated with all of those. So there will certainly be a role for wind assisted propulsion and for LNG, ethanol, various colors of the alternative fuels, ammonia, etc. There may even be a role for nuclear, in some trades batteries. But if we look at sort of the very big picture of price on carbon or implied price on carbon and price of a green fuel, I mean, certainly looking at the deep draft ships where most emissions are coming from and where things like batteries are not really a relevant solution, we it's not very difficult to see that shipboard carbon capture will be cost effective more so than alternative and more I should say more so than and sooner than alternative fuels. And so that in terms of vessel types, we'll definitely be looking at tankers. In a sense, shipboard carbon capture has some implications with respect to range and the amount. I mean, there's a large weight penalty and space and certain things. So things like container ships may struggle, whereas tankers and bulkers may be easier solutions. The smaller the vessel gets and the higher speed, more complex the trade and larger superstructure, it becomes harder and harder to do shipboard carbon capture in a cost-effective manner. But indeed, it will have a role to play, and it's being implemented in, I think, several dozen ships already around the world. There's a number of technologies that are being developed and matured commercially now. So I think it's a space to watch in the coming years.
Thank you for your contribution, Jacob.
Sure.